baby.
We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause we been.
Y'all better get comfortable with saying black.
We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause
Black versus the Board of Education.
Cause we been here, rid of us now. We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause we been here, rid of us now. And you know, and we know, and we go, so you do what you want.
That's why we are indeed a whole mood.
That's it.
Great. We are expecting Tyler McClure from Gifted Misfits, and I'm excited. I don't know. Wait, did I introduce myself? I'll be forgetting.
No.
Okay. All right. As usual, it's Miss Laureen, the captain of the ship. And we never get a conversation started without letting you know who's in the building. So because the camera has stayed on her the whole time, I'm gonna start with Quinessa.
Hi, I'm Quinessa. I'm a youth advocate here, and I'm excited for the conversation.
You always excited. You
am.
ready to learn some more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Adrian.
Hello, my name is Adrian. Happy Monday as always.
Happy Monday indeed. And Sherman is back, rubbing his eyes, but it's all good. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
It's Sherman, usually behind the camera, but I'm here today.
You done got promoted again. Look
Yeah.
at you. Look at you. And joining us, I'm super excited to welcome you here. It's the newest member of Team BYLP. He goes by the name. Oh, yeah. He goes by the name of Foxy Irvin. He is joining the podcast today just to kind of check it out and see what we are doing. So do you want to let anybody know anything about you before we get started? You're going to have to get in front of the microphone.
I'm
Love
not
bug.
sure what all we can be let known on.
You can let them know whatever you want them to know.
We can talk about what we were talking about in the
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's your mouth.
I'm a ISUDT
What does that mean?
substance use disorder treatment counselor.
Okay. I'm like ISDCT. What? Well, welcome to the party. Welcome to the party. I'm super excited to welcome you here because I always love to connect with people who have lived experience out in the community and in certain systems, and that helps to inform the way that we talk about things. So welcome to the party. While we're waiting for Tyler, I told you if he was a little tardy for the party, we was going to talk about something that, of course, has been making its rounds around social media. You do realize that I realized a couple months ago there was a lawsuit filed against Diddy. And at that time, he came out and he denied everything, right? I read that 35-page whatever case. And I was disgusted. I knew immediately that she was not lying. And so now the video has surfaced, right? And yesterday he came out with an apology. I'm of the mind that he could take that and shove it where it hurts, but he might like that. Quinessa, your thoughts?
Wait.
I
How would you just say?
You just got it?
Yeah.
He might like that.
I have not seen the video, and I have not seen his apology, and that is very intentional. I think what happened is like a violation of Cassie's privacy, so I have no interest in seeing that, and also I have no interest in giving any sort of attention to a half-assed apology from
Come on,
an
talk to
abuser.
him.
So
Yeah.
it's as long as his victims feel that they have received justice, I have no interest in involving myself in the situation.
And I'm laughing because Layla just walked in front of the camera. Okay, so you're not interested in seeing anything of it. I mean, I don't know how you've avoided it, honestly, because it's everywhere. Have you had a chance to watch anything, look at anything, see any commentary? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I watched the video in the hotel and then I seen his apology. I thought it was crazy because a lot of celebrities had to backtrack their support, and I thought it was funny watching them come out and be like, "Oh no, I don't mess with Diddy no more."
Uh-huh.
So
Sure.
I wasn't even surprised.
You weren't surprised. Okay. Why?
Because I think just if you do your research on Diddy, you know that he is not a good person.
Mm.
Like I read the court document or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and for her to be that descriptive, there was no way that she could have been lying.
Yeah.
And I just think I don't know. I just think it's weird that it's always like we just never believe them until like you have to, in a sense.
Well, I think it's you never believe them until somebody got to like actually show you. You just not listening to what the woman is saying. Somebody got to furnish a video, and that whole video messed with me, because I've known a lot of men like Diddy who can't keep their hands to themselves, and it's some real punk stuff, and they turn it around on you as if you caused them to act out of character. And it's unfortunate that he's not going to be held responsible for that. Yes, they can file the civil suit, but criminally, the statute of limitations has run out. I'm going to throw it to my gentleman over here. Did you have a chance to see it, Foxy?
I actually did see it, and I feel the way you feel. I feel the way everybody feels in this room, but I also feel a different way as well. You know,
Okay.
when I seen the video, and I grew up in a household like that, so when I seen it, I witnessed those things firsthand, and I've also had those things firsthand done to me by my mother. But I question not wanting to believe her, but I also question, is it hard for somebody to believe somebody when they say something like that, when they continue to always go back? I don't think that it was just, I don't think people didn't want to not believe her, or just discount her story like she wasn't telling the truth.
Well, that's what they did.
I think that she made it a little bit harder on herself when people look at the time frames of how long this goes on, and why do you continue to go back? And if you accept him like that, then why should I look at him bad? Not to say that he's not bad, but I don't have the time to look off into something or come over to, like how your organization that represents people who want help. Do you really want help? This person is sick, but do you really want help? As in her. And it made it harder for people to step in to help. Diddy been a sick dude for a long time, but you can't step in and help sometimes when they're making these allegations, but it's money behind the allegation. You want money behind it. So is Diddy sick, purely evil,
and shouldn't he have paid for his indiscretions? Absolutely.
Two different kind of ways. You know, you got the justice way.
Yeah, some of the men should have put some pause on him. I mean, seriously.
But the men
because they
let that type of stuff happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They allowed this. They knew what was going on. They knew that she was being harmed, and they still did nothing. And I think that it's noteworthy. She's a lot younger than he is, and so as I don't want to call myself a survivor of domestic violence, but you're trying to figure out what you can do differently so that that person doesn't continue to hurt you.
Why wouldn't you call yourself a survivor?
Why wouldn't I? Yeah. Child, because I ain't Destiny's Child. No.
I mean,
I just don't. I don't know. I don't know.
You don't actually have to be hit yourself physically. Nobody, as a woman or a person, has to be hit physically to be a survivor of it. You can witness it and be a survivor, because many people have been in situations where they've seen something and didn't know what to do because they didn't know if it was even their place. They didn't know even how to help.
And nobody teaches you.
Nobody teaches.
That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of times, I don't believe we're teaching our daughters that it's okay to leave. And I think that a lot of times as women, we don't tell the men in our family because we don't want them to go to jail. Right? Or we don't want them to act out of character. But I want to get Tyler in here, and I want you to introduce yourself because we started without you.
I know. They say 9290, but it don't tell you where that's at. So I'm over here walking around.
Oh, Lord. Well, we sorry about that, love.
Got you.
Introduce yourself, introduce your organization, answer the Diddy question, and then we're going to focus on you because you don't get too much more time of my time.
Okay, for sure. So, hi, y'all. I'm Tyler McClure, the CEO and founder of Gifted Misfits. That is a mentoring nonprofit, up and coming, putting it in the works, working it together. Space for young people to be shown a different light, a different path, to be exposed to things that they might not be privy to in their households or in their environment. So my job is to, as a gifted misfit, is to bring the gift out, help people unwrap their greatness. So that's what that stems from. It's a bit deeper than that, but I'll say that for another day or later on today.
No, I just want. How did you come up with that name? Because when I think of the Misfits, I go way back because I used to watch Jim.
For sure.
Jim and the Holograms, and
Yeah,
then the rival people were the Misfits. So how did you come up with that name?
I ain't gonna lie to you. I asked God.
Oh, come on.
I was changing my Instagram name one day, and I said, before I change my name from just Tyler McClure, what do you want it to be? Because my life is not my own, so how should I carry myself?
Come on, bro.
And he literally
said, she said, can you say the name again in the nonprofit? He said it so fast.
Okay, yeah, I do talk fast. So Gifted Misfits Incorporated.
And your name is?
Tyler McClure.
Tyler McClure.
Yeah, Gifted Misfits. It's spelled correctly on
Instagram. Come on.
People be using hashtags and stuff. But yeah, I looked at my life story and was like, I realized that the environment I was in, that wasn't who I was. And the directions that people wanted me to go was not the directions I was called to.
Okay.
Realized early that is not my path, but I had a lot to offer. And so being marginalized is not always just a financial thing. It's sometimes the situations that you grow up in, the lack thereof. And for me, that was growing up in a fatherless household, right? And so outcasted, when you look at the statistics of those who grew up in a single parent household, they're bad. We're most likely to end up on the streets, most likely to end up in prison, most likely to not graduate, most likely to struggle. And so we are somewhat misfits because we're so marginalized. And statistic alone. But then a lot of these young kids who grow up in these environments have a lot to offer. And those things aren't always watered or highlighted in your life. And so for me, I was like, okay, let's get to Misfit for sure. So God made it make sense for me.
I love that. Before we move on from you, I want to know about whether or not you saw all the stuff pertaining to Diddy.
We've been seeing it for years. I mean, decades for real. So this is it's not, like young man said, it's not a surprise. We're glad that it's finally been exposed publicly, right? But I think we don't understand the entity in which he operates in, the industry. And I don't think that's something that's been said just yet. I think, we hear a lot of different things about Kim Porter, Tupac, Big. Yep. We knew Big was being manipulated by Diddy the whole time. But at the end of the day, it's not easy to leave those situations.
You're right.
So when I hear it, my antennas go off. I don't not believe you. I just know that the infrastructure in which you're operating under is powerful.
Yeah.
So you're being manipulated. We can't neglect the fact that she was so young.
She was so young, and she was signed.
Yeah, she was
to a record deal.
Exactly, and that's not just a record deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
a record deal is signing your life away. And so, I mean, Aaliyah was what, 14, 15. So if we really being real about it, they can't leave. And so we see.
Well, you see her trying to leave on the video, right?
I'm not talking about just in that. I'm talking about the situation itself, right?
Yeah, you
can tell body language when they're taking pictures, and you a little bit more pulled over to the side. There's a lot of these abusive relationships that happen, and they're not just when they come out breaking news. Like, we can peep it. We know body language. We grow up in these environments on a daily basis. The kids we work with live in these environments, and so we know these things. And so I'm glad. I wish that people are bold enough to, put their paws on people like this and have more courage to really expose things like this. But behind these closed doors, these contracts got your family's names written.
Yeah, they do.
So it's
blood money.
Yeah, and it's not money rule evil. The love of money.
That's
rules.
Right.
The love of money. We need money. We live in a society that requires money and things like that. But when you fall in love with it, there's no telling what you're willing to do for it. So.
And I just want to go back to one of the comments. Mama Margie's in the building. She said, if they raise their hands and connect, one must move to leave the first time. And I don't know. Sometimes you'd be like, what can I do different?
Right? Yeah, nah, it's not that. I wish it was that easy. We say that until you're in that situation. And some people are stronger than others, but you don't know the paralysis that brings for people. Fear is definitely a paralysis. You have some people who say fear is not real. It's real.
Oh, it absolutely.
Fear is real for those who experience it, right? And
That's right.
We've all been afraid of something until you overcome it. And so, it's easy to tell somebody to just up and leave. I mean, I know me, I'm a fighter, so I'll fight, but somebody else doesn't have that. Somebody else wasn't taught that. Somebody else wasn't shown that, right? And at some point as a little boy, I was scared of something. And so we have to get to that place before we tell people you have to be empathetic and try to sympathize. Like, yeah, you might have been in a relationship for a long time, but we don't know what gun is behind your back. We don't know where your family is at. We don't know what ransom is on the other side of this phone call. So we just gotta be mindful and sensitive to that.
And I always think about, I really believe in soul ties too.
Absolutely.
And I believe that it's not easy to walk away from somebody that you've been intimate with. intentionally intimate.
Yeah.
And I think that she thought that she loved him, and she thought what he was doing was the
love.
definition of love, right?
Absolutely.
And that goes back in my mind to, I need to know if her father was around.
That's a huge part.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you saying that, because we talked about how young she was.
Yeah.
And these young girls are being manipulated and groomed
By these
early.
old dudes.
By
Like,
these
he
old dudes.
old.
And then on top of it, they have money. And
Yeah.
so, you know, if my dream as a 10-year-old girl is to be a singer, and you put that in front of me and making it seem as if you have a lifestyle set up for me, there's that security that the young woman is always looking for.
Yeah.
Young women always are looking for security. Even as women, they expect
Facts.
security, not just physically, financially, stability, consistency.
Mhm.
And you're a rich man. Why don't I think you have these things? And you're a black man. You probably look like my father, so therefore I trust you. If not, I was looking for that in somebody who looks like you growing up, and it wasn't there. There's a lot to unpack.
It's layers. There's layers to it.
There's layers to it.
And we want to turn it back to Gifted Misfits. We want to learn more about the way that you serve in the community. We are flashing back to our Spotlight series, highlighting nonprofits around the area and the ways in which they connect with our young people. And so I'm going to go to Miss Quinessa first for her question for you, and then we'll continue to get into the conversation.
I'm just wondering when and how you started your nonprofit.
Officially started April 26th of 2021.
Okay.
April 26th of 2021. And but I've been doing the work since I was 20 years old. I started working in an after school space. When I was a sophomore in high school, I worked in a summer program. And the kids, they asked me what my camp name was. And I'm like, I'm 15. I don't know no camp name. My name is Tyler. They're like, you're Mr. Awesome. And I'm like, where'd you guys get that from? They're like, we just like you. And I was like, okay, there's something there. But then you kind of ignore it. And then I went to school. East Bay in 2011 when I graduated. And I knew that wasn't the path I was supposed to take. I'm not saying don't go to school for anybody. That's not what I'm promoting. I'm just saying that wasn't the path that God had for me. And so I was there. I was following my friends because everybody was leaving for 4-year universities. And I knew that I was supposed to be doing something different. I didn't know what. And I felt isolated. Like the friends I went there with, they all started doing the partying thing. And I just felt like I was drowning in my solitude when really I was being called. And so I felt like God was like, go home. And so my sophomore year, halfway through, he sent me home. My big brother's like, I still got that job for you in the after school program. And it didn't sound like nothing I wasn't supposed to do. I said, okay, bet. I came back, and there I found a couple young men, Muhammad and Gordon, who leaned on me heavily for moral support. And that's where the mentorship began, right? And from that, I realized, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I'm not supposed to just be an after school program from 2 to 6. What is the bigger point? I'm always looking for the bigger picture. So I feel like God was like, your story. I'm like, what do you mean? There's layers to that. So what part? And it was like the part where people need a positive male role model.
Wow.
And so that's how that got started. And over time, what was highlighted to me was my mom being a single mom who did it, flawlessly. She might have had her flaws, but I've never seen a single mom do it this way, to where she went to school, worked, made sure we was in church. And that's just the foundational pieces, but made sure that we still experience things that most people need 2 incomes in a household to experience. And so I'm like, I have to do that for other people. So I started taking kids to games. And like, we've never been to a game before. You never been to a River Cat game? Them things are cheap. No, we only see it on TV. I've never been to a basketball game before. This looked like 2K in real life. And so I feel like God was telling me, like, you have to not only show people what a healed person, like a healed man looks like, right? But you also have to show them things beyond their neighborhood. And so that's my aim, is to always expose them to environments outside of their own opportunities and environments. But while I'm in these spaces, empower them and equip them with emotional tools, dig into their psyche and help us realize where a lot of our anger issues come from, the patterns that we have in relationships, like dig deeper than beyond the surface level. And I know that a lot of programs out here focus on academics, and I appreciate that. But if we have everybody doing the same thing, something's going untouched. And so somebody has to touch these other pieces that are not always being touched. And so that's how it got started. That's where we at with it.
Yeah.
Just trying to create different spaces and environments. And it's just me. And the goal is to expand, right?
Right.
But a lot has happened in my life over the last couple of years, between losing my father and my sister, twin sister, to where things have kind of just been broken up. But I don't believe in coincidences. So I'm just trying to take from everything and get back to the work.
Adrian.
So you grew up in Sacramento, right?
South Sac specifically, yes, sir.
South Sac. So growing up in Sacramento, how did you find yourself fighting past that kind of fatherless statistic and getting past that stigma of where you're supposed to be?
Yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. I used to hate this answer as a kid because it didn't make sense to me when people say I just trusted God. But unfortunately, not unfortunately, that's my reality. I didn't feel like me and my mom's relationship wasn't the best. She did a lot of great things. I'm grateful for the things that she did, but the internal pieces that I needed, I didn't have, like the grace, the mercy, the gentleness, the love, the affection. And I think it's part of the responsibility to feel like she had to play both sides. But I relied heavily on my faith. And I was like, I trusted in what I knew I was supposed to do and trusted in what I wasn't supposed to do. Like, I know I'm not supposed to be doing that, so I'm just not going to touch that side of things. I don't want to play risky with the stuff that can alter my life for the worse. I might do some stupid stuff, some crazy stuff as a teenager, as a boy. We're going to do some crazy things. But when it comes to like banging, the drugs, the alcohol, the gun toting, I just knew like, okay, I have to do something different because everybody around me, like I lived off of Florida, I live off 29th Street. I lived in Fruit Ridge. I went to school in Oak Park. I grew up in Oak Park, went to church in Oak Park. All my friends in Oak Park. So I'm tapped in everywhere, right? But these environments don't feel comfortable for me. Like I know I have to be cool everywhere. But I have to find something different to make it. So I leaned on those foundational tools that were put in front of me. And I know sometimes they seem boring, sometimes they seem cliche, but when you apply them, you see that in the long run how beneficial they are for you. So I just trusted the path that was put in front of me, and I feel like God showed me the rest. And I know to some it's like but you have to trust him. That's how it makes sense. If you don't trust him, then it's gonna sound cliche. But when you start to apply principles and lessons that you're being taught, then it starts to come to fruition.
I like that. So you said something to me that kind of stood out about being healed. What advice would you give to a young man about being healed or in that healing process, especially coming from like the inner city?
Bruh, you gotta forgive quickly. And and when I say forgive quickly, I'm not saying somebody slap you, you're like, it's okay, bruh, right cheek. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is like we hold on to a lot. We hold on to every offense that happens to us from a kid, and rightfully so, right? We're allowed to have our feelings. But I think when we tell ourselves we're allowed to have feelings, sometimes we allow that to justify how we respond to our feelings, right? And that's not always the case. And so my advice would be, because I had a lot of anger issues growing up. And if I didn't have the outlet of my basketball coach saying everybody who does cross country doesn't have to come to conditioning, then I don't know if I would have found an outlet. So I was like, okay, no conditioning, I'm going to cross country. Fell in love with running. So I found something that helped me release. And then I was able to process things after because all that was let go. And so the key really is letting go. I think in our environments, especially as young Black youth and as young Black men, we have a lot coming down on us. Like I can imagine what Tommy has to go through after a long day, right? He gets to go home and let me turn the game on. Like I can't even afford the game. You know what I'm saying? I got to steal the game. Like, there's a full course meal. It's healthy too. I'm not sluggish. So we have a lot coming at us, and we take disappointment to heart heavily. And like we could say, mom could say no McDonald's today after she told you before school we'll go later, but you don't know that the rent was due and she ain't got no money, right? And so now we got trust issues because mom couldn't afford it. We take everything to heart. And so my advice is to let go. The quicker we're able to learn to forgive and charge things to life and not always to people and not put our trust so much in people and learn how to navigate, I feel like we become sponges, because then you're just taking in lessons. You're releasing the pain, taking in lessons, releasing the pain, taking in lessons. And so I feel like that's what got me there, because I had a lot of frustration with my dad, a lot of resentment with my mom, and I know the direction I was headed. But then what had me do the work was a gentleman that just popped up on the screen, said Nathaniel Wilson earlier. Him and a gentleman by Nathan Houston and Darrell Davis, they became my mentors at 15. I call them my care package from heaven, because they popped up randomly and they mentored me. And I don't mean they sat down and like taught me lessons from 9 to 5. The capacity in which they were mentoring wasn't like y'all got now. You know, the Black Youth Leadership Project, The Voice, the Gifted Misfits. It wasn't like that, but it was intentional time that they took out to hear me, pour back into me, help me see perspective, but also hold me accountable. And that's what saved my life, because I let things go And I also was willing to take other things on, such as the positive lessons and the alternative perspectives and things like that. And so get you a mentor and let things go. That'll save your life.
What age were you when you realized that that I need some healing? Like I need
14.
14.
I wanted to kill myself at 13. At 13, I felt unseen and overlooked. I feel like my feelings didn't matter. I didn't know why my dad wasn't there. I didn't know why my mom treated me the way that she did. Like I felt like I was invisible. And I was like, I don't know what direction I'm supposed to be going in, what to do. And so I went to go hang myself and the belt broke. Thank God for that, right?
I mean, you laugh, but man.
No, I can laugh at it now because of the healed part, right? But I'm like,
my
I'm
goodness.
grateful that my belt was from Walmart and not from Burlington. I mean, or because if the quality was a little different, I don't know if I'd be here.
Right.
So I can make light out of it now. But if we being real, like I was 13 when I wanted to end my life. And so at 14, that's when I met Nate, Gene, and Darrell. And I really leaned into God. When that broke, something said like, you're supposed to be here. And that still didn't fully hit till later, but I knew I was supposed to be here. And so when I go to church, I'm no longer going out of habit. I'm not going because it's a regular Sunday, Monday thing to do. I'm like, okay, if I'm supposed to be here, let me listen to gyms is being dropped on me every week. Is there something there? And so though it felt repetitive, I'm starting to take something away. But then it's still not clicking. But then I run across these 3 dudes at church. And they not like your regular church dudes. They slap my big bro driving the Crown Vic, right? And they slide through the church parking lot bumping Christian rap, right? And outside of there, they talking normal. They playing the video game with me. Like, they just as normal dudes. They was like 21, 22 at the time. I'm 14. Like, I could be saved and still be cool. Oh, okay, now I think I found my path. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what it was for me. It was like, it was finding out. It was fun. I was like, we a safari? What is that? I found out quickly, like I needed something else besides the life that I had planned for myself. And then I really leaned into that. And I got rebaptized at 15 because I did it at 6 because I heard the water was warm and I wanted the communion. So I was like, I want to do that. But it was just habit. And so I gave my life back to Christ. I did that out of my own desire of wanting to serve how I'm supposed to be. Whatever that calling is in my life, I'm accepted. And so that's like a year later, that's when I started the job at the summer program. And then things just started over time. When I look back, it all started to make sense. So that healing process began when I accepted that I'm supposed to be here and that maybe it's not the life that I desire. It's the life that's meant for me.
Gotcha.
My water was cold when I got baptized.
Mine too. I don't know what he's talking about. Some warm water.
Hey,
y'all bougie.
It might have been, but it felt good. I want the cannonball in that mug, bro.
Stop it. Foxy, you have a question for him?
I was actually going to ask him a question, but he kind of answered it as he was going through it. You know, I know when we go through these situations that you know, you grow and then you stumble again.
Yeah,
you grow and you stumble again. My question was going to be, when did you think your aha moment was?
Oh,
gotcha.
You know,
he kind of answered it when he was saying, you know, when he met his
mentor.
guy he's seen on the screen. That was the aha moment. He had somebody to coach him through his aha. Everybody has a different aha moment, and he had somebody to coach him through it. But that was going to be my question for him. What was your actual aha moment? Your aha moment.
That was the beginning,
right?
I think
your second aha
moment. The real one, like in my maturation, was when I had mentioned when I went away to college, and I found myself by myself, and it was like, you're not supposed to be. It kind of reinforced the first one, where it was like, you're not supposed to be doing what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I need you to go back home because I didn't tell you to go to school. You did it because everybody else was doing it, but you had that gut feeling like, I'm not supposed to be going. But in a time where everybody was getting celebrated for going away to college, you kind of want that attention too. Like, man, I'm doing something too, but it's okay to stay home. Home is where the heart is. And so that's where it was for me at East Bay in that room. It was a dorm room, and I thought it was going to be the life, but it felt so lonely. And I was like, man, like, why am I feeling like everybody around me is enjoying this, and I'm sitting here like I'm not moving? And he's like, I didn't tell you to do this. You got to go. It was in March 23rd, 2013.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm back to Quinessa. And somebody's trying to get in touch with you. I don't know what's happening over there because they want to get in on the conversation. Just tell them go ahead and pop up on Facebook or YouTube, and they can talk to you the whole time. Come
on. You're very faith driven, but I'm wondering if that influences the way that you mentor as well, or
Absolutely. I think it's what allows me to pour optimism and positivity into our young people, and they know it. They all like. I don't ever force my faith on nobody, right? But I allow the way that I move and live to exude them. So like when I just lost my sister in January, a lot of my mentees, like couple prayed for me. The ones I didn't expect, couples like T, God got you. Like you tell us, God got you. So you just never know what you're pouring into because sometimes you end up pouring back into yourself. So I just learned that part, but I do allow it. Like it allows me to be compassionate. It allows me to be merciful when I'm holding them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
It allows me to be gracious. And then when I'm dealing with their parents, right? When parents are asking for advice on how to deal with them, like some parents, like, I've seen mentors tell parents like, well, you just gotta let them do this. And you just gotta it's like, nah, like you might want to take a different approach. Like he's hurting deeply. And so you might need to give him a moment, you know what I'm saying? But then when you get a chance, come back to him this way. And so since people know that about me, it allows me to come from a different angle that most don't, in terms of like, hey, so we said, like, because kids they want to know about God, and they don't always have the right avenues to feel like they can ask about it without feeling like they got to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
That's the stigma that's out there, and it's like, nah, you could be a regular smuggler dude, still mess up and cuss, and still, struggle in relationships.
So many examples of that in the Bible.
Oh, there's a lot.
If they read it, just open it up.
And that's the part is that
we a hot mess.
and we're a hot mess. I mean,
Yeah.
a burning mess. And so they need somebody that's gonna be real with them. And so once you show them that you're real, that part doesn't work on its own. But I think that allows me to be able to like remind them, like, hey, we have a standard, right? Because if we go off your standard, all of our standards might be different based off our feelings, based off our traumas, our backgrounds. But if we go to if this is what we say in the standard, then hey, T not telling you nothing, y'all. This is what it say. Okay, bet. And then they try it, and then things work out. And again, if you apply the Bible and it don't work for you, cool. Try something else, whatever worked for you. But I know that I've tried this and it worked for me. And so if it worked for me and you trust me, then I trust me that's gonna work for you too. And so I think it allows me just to come with different fruits that I'm allowed to bear, like gentleness and kindness, and you be stern where you're supposed to be, but you do everything in love, right? I don't tell them the truth out of the need for me to be heard. It's the truth out of like, hey, I love you. I want to see you do better. I know that there's more for you out here. So ... and then just let that lead. If you let love lead, you can't go wrong. Especially if love is not our own definition, but the love in which, the one that we were shown.
What's the biggest challenge you faced kind of when starting your nonprofit, getting it started, and with mentoring your youth?
The biggest challenge I faced starting. That's facts, bro. Like I'm still, like I said, I started 2021 and I'm still doing it by myself, still trying to make sure things are solidified, still trying to get the website up and balance life at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I still do the work, right? Just so, because the work can't stop because you ain't on the, corporate part yet or the official part yet. So that starting is the hardest part. And then the hardest struggle with mentoring is that it's not enough of us out here. I mean, that's the biggest part, is that you got people who have hearts to serve, but still don't know how to serve. Like, I'm not completely healed from a lot of different things, but I make sure the parts that I have to, they have to touch a brother, I can't bleed on them when I touch them. You know what I mean? I can't, if I'm broken in certain places that can ultimately negatively affect him, I need to back up. And so I think that it's not enough healed ones out here trying to reach our young people. We have people trying to tell people what to do, but it's like, I go to a lot of spaces and the kids are like, bro, who's you talking to, bro? It's like, bro, you got to see things differently. So I just think that, the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. You know what I mean? That's in the word too. So it's not enough of us. I wish it was more of us. My favorite superpower used to be teleporting, but now I wish I could just clone myself. If I could clone myself, the work could get done, bro. I can promise you it'll get done. Give me like 4 of me. Like, and we out here grinding, but that's just it. It's not enough time in the day, not enough workers in the field. So, and then starting is the hardest part, bro.
Yeah, and I'm listening to you as you're talking, and we had Patrice and Coco from Says on here.
Okay,
and
Patrice
they were
is dope.
Yeah, and we were talking, and they said something about Sacramento has the most nonprofits per capita than any city in the United States.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And so you're saying there's not enough of us, but it seems like we're oversaturated. So is it that people are operating inside, and this is just your opinion, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Are people
That's a heavy
operating in
question. I know you're going.
silos? Are people just like getting nonprofits for the sake of having them? Are they really doing the work? Like what do you think is the problem with the oversaturation of nonprofits? And I'm not trying to put nobody on blast.
I know you're not.
I'm just asking.
I know. I it's a lot of that. I mean,
He said just combine them all.
Just by answering the question, people feel where they'll put the shoe on where it fit. But people do want nonprofits just to have them. Right? What I'm seeing, when I started doing this, I realized a lot of people doing it. Like it's a lot of politics. People want bread. And I get it. We got to live. I mean, we live in a world that need money, but don't pimp the work, please. I'm sorry. Stop pimping the work.
Oh no, I'm agreeing.
Yeah, like you stop pimping the work. Like I want to get every time I get paid, I don't see my check. Like only because it's like there's a lot out here. If I'm blessed to do the work, then I'm blessed to bless others. And so there's that piece. And then everybody's trying to do the same thing and nobody wants to collab.
Right.
And I'm like, and nobody's open to changing. Like, I wish I could just fall under somebody. I've tried going under a few nonprofits before I started my own.
You ain't come over here.
I didn't really know what was going on. Like, we ran into each other where at
everywhere.
But where was it first? Like the El Grove some El Grove. I ran into you. We was doing like the little protest.
Oh, it was a news conference or a press conference.
Yeah, I didn't know what you did. I mean,
I didn't know what I did either.
Look, that was my first time.
That was during the pandemic.
I met Queen during the pandemic, and I'm like, and then over time, I'm like, well, she really do a lot. I be seeing what y'all got going on. I'm like, they go fly with BYLP.
I mean,
But all I'm saying is, everybody's not that welcoming. Let's put it that way. You just sat here and said you didn't come over here. Come on, brother. But I just flew under a few people, and some people are crooked, and some people just don't want to do that, and some people are not open, and so it's just like, dog, like then I feel like I gotta go solo because it's like there has to be a way where we incorporate some light into these places instead of just trying to get some bread and still get the bread, right? Because I believe that God gonna provide anyway. So yeah, it's a lot of reasons why it's a bunch of nonprofits, but there ain't nobody doing the work. And then everybody wants to do the same thing. Like, why we got 20 nonprofits focusing on education for young people when we all should just come under one and then split the bread and turn it into a big up. I don't know.
You know why?
I know why. So,
okay.
Anywho. Yeah.
Sherman?
I think
I want a t-shirt.
Vanessa kind of asked my question asked my question, but I also wanted to know, like, how would you go about handling a youth who's been hurt by the church, but you want to point him towards God? Like, don't believe in the church, believe in God, or somebody who just grew up in the church and just lost their way.
Man, you're asking a question that really categorizes about 99% of our young people nowadays.
100%.
And if it's not directly by the church, it's indirectly by somebody in the household who is so faithful that they become perfect and criticize everybody. So how do you handle that? You just be the light. It's not our job to tell people what to do. It's our job to show people. People don't. I mean, we live in a world where people are tired of the talking. Look at all these presidents, right? We had Diddy going back to Diddy. We had Diddy talking about some time to tell.
Right.
You gave us 2 weeks. The video.
No, that was 3 days. What do you mean?
That video? 3 days? Yeah.
3 days later, that video dropped.
3 days later, right?
But he spoke it into existence.
He spoke it, bro. So I mean, people tired of talking, bro. I mean, but our youth are always tired of talking. I was never that way. As a kid, I was asking my mom, "Why you tell me that then if you doing the opposite? I want you to be better." It's like, well, you be better too. You gotta be a better family, not just a better individual. So, I mean, that to her that was disrespectful, and I see why in hindsight. But you have to just be the example, right? Like I said, I don't think any of my kids can hop on here and be like, he just told us what to do. He just shows us. Like, if we in the car and we enjoying ourselves, and I see a man that's homeless, I'm gonna hold on, y'all. Like, take my food. I'm not doing it for show, but while I have a moment to be light, I need to be light. And I tell my son that no matter where you go, do some good. Even if it's just for a second, let somebody cut you in line, let somebody go first, and at the light, do something good everywhere you go. Like, you just always have to make sure you're affecting a space of positivity. So I believe that then that gives you a platform to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not telling people to do. Like, when you speak, people know that when you're speaking, you're being real because you follow what you you practice what you preach. So for my young people out there struggling with their faith and that want to get closer to God, just keep your eyes peeled. He ain't too far from you. If you're really looking for him, God is present. God is present. You just gotta stop looking for him in man, because man gonna fail you every time. Every time.
Mm-hmm. Foxy, what'd you say?
I said that's a bar.
That's a bar.
It's a couple of them.
I kind of want to merge the question you was asking about Diddy off into this. In the beginning when we was talking about Diddy, and we were saying, you know, how people they're able to hide for so long.
Mm.
And then since I've been out, I've kind of contacted a lot of organizations myself, just seeing what was out there and whatnot. And like you were saying, it's a lot of people that's not. I met dudes in these organizations, they still Bloods and Crips, and they greet you as such, and then they come in the room and they act different. But for you starting your own organization and saying that one is different from the other, how do you push forth your organization and not allow these other organizations to disturb what's going on with you? Like, they can just continue to exist, because that's the same thing as what's going on, like what you were saying about Diddy. People just let it exist, and look how far it went on and disturbed other people's patients. So how do you, I'm doing my organization, but I'm also making sure these other organizations around don't cause harm?
I think that's a good question. And sidebar, the blue rag is for my sister. Her favorite color was blue. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think anybody was being
I'm just joking. But I wear a lot of blue lately for her. So, but it's kind of like Arby's. You know, people always ask, who keeping Arby's in business?
Right.
Like, nobody go to Arby's. Like, I don't. Yeah. So, but it's like you got to just let it be. And I believe that the real stuff is going to always overshadow the fake stuff. I think what I'm learning is that, like, you can't always, you could boycott without boycotting. You just have to do you. And I think for me, it's like, I don't ever allow anybody around my kids that my discernment tells me is no good. I don't repost flyers for programs or events that I feel like might not be beneficial. And so I just kind of stick true to my guns. And I trust my discernment. I don't think that I'm perfect, but I do trust that my discernment, it hasn't steered me wrong when I trust that my spirit tell me we ain't going this way or we can't go that way. And I believe a lot of families have said, like, you know, I tried this and that didn't work. And I tried to go this way and that didn't work. I work at a high school right now, and they said, we need a program or something to come up here. Do you have anything to offer? And so we met and I got the contract, praise God. But I found out later that another really big organization tried to come there and they wasn't feeling it. Mm-hmm. And over time, people have said, like, yeah, this program be everywhere, but they're not doing nothing. And so I believe that,
I bet you I could guess who you talking about.
Oh man, we ain't gotta do that.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. But I know who you talking about.
Put that in the bloopers. But it's just like people recognize the work.
Yeah.
And so Arby's gonna always stand, right? Some people might start leaving it. It's gonna always stand, but they're gonna go to where, you know, the quality is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Arby's do got a good milkshake, though.
I don't know nothing about Arby's.
I ain't never had their sandwich. I won't touch it. But I might get sued for them after this. But they got a good milkshake. But you know, people
disclaimer, it's only his opinion.
It's only my opinion.
Whatever.
But yeah, I just feel like you don't have to publicize what doesn't work, what's not working, who's not good. I think the work is gonna always speak for itself.
Yeah.
Like quality shows itself, even if it's only one person doing the work from this organization, people gonna come to you because they feel like, okay, you're actually doing something though. Like, give me a piece of advice because I don't feel like I'm getting nothing from over here. You know what I'm saying? So I just try to be mindful of what I share, where I share space, where I take my kids, what I expose them to, where I direct them when people ask for summer jobs. Go there, don't go there. Like, do that, don't do that. And it's my opinion that they do it anyway. Sometimes they'll come back and be like, bro, I should have listened. That was crazy. I'm like, hey, I told you that was going to be crazy. So it's just being mindful and just being attentive to the things around, because people do show up phony a lot. And I don't think I can't sit too long in those spaces, but I be sure that I kind of give people a nudge like, yeah, okay, that's cool. So I think that answers your question. Arby's versus quality food.
At least he didn't say it was trash.
Hey, I got a good milkshake.
That's crazy. I'm lactose intolerant.
I never had
so
a
I ain't
sandwich
gonna go.
either.
So I have just a quick question. So, I heard you say what was the hardest about starting was starting.
Yes.
How are you sustaining as a one-man show? As you're trying to navigate life yourself? I'm sure that, you know, the losses that you've experienced have kind of kept you home some days because you just couldn't find the strength to go.
Yeah.
So how are you sustaining the one-man show?
I will say, even the one-man shows aren't always one-man shows.
Okay.
Thank God for Black women.
Come on now.
Thank God for healed Black men. I got a couple people who have been on my case, just making sure that I'm good. And if I need something, they kind of fill in the gaps.
Okay.
Not always how, like, you know how that go. We got, it's not, you're not doing it right, but they still, playing their part, and that keeps me up. Because the losses I've taken have, you lose your dad and your twin sister.
Yeah.
And in 3 years, you going nuts. And so part of it is my faith, knowing that even my anger with God, it ain't his fault. And so I have that wrestle, but I have that knowledge that it's not him. It's just life that happens. But also keeping my eye on the fact that, I got a son to raise, 2 daughters to raise. I got kids watching me.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know about this. Our kids keep us going more than our family do. And if I fall and my kids see this, how can I mentor perseverance or resilience or overcoming?
Yeah.
And my faith if I just crash out? And I can't do that. Like, I can't allow my situations to be bigger than the lessons I taught. You know what I'm saying? And so if that ever becomes a habit, then okay, maybe everything T told us was fake. Like, he's sitting here stuck in the house. Okay, he grieving, but what you mean, bro, not getting up? We ain't seen T in 3 months, and I'm allowed to have that space. They tell me to, but at the same time, I know that sometimes you're that hope for people.
Yeah.
Like, seeing your superhero become human, that's one of the worst feelings as a kid. And so, if you don't show them that you can be human the right way, you can ultimately, destroy your witness. And so, if I have this guy that I say that I trust in, and if I'm always, telling them it's gonna be okay, even, when it's not okay, but it will be in time, I have to show them the same thing for myself. So ultimately you end up preaching to yourself in time, because it's like I gotta kind of not maintain a facade, but I have to model what I preach.
Gotcha.
No matter what I preach. And so that sometimes involves proper self-care. And doing that helps. Hooping once a week, listening to music, watching playoff basketball. And
Your team still in it?
Huh? Nah, my Kobe gone. So, I got players that I like. So
Okay.
Anthony Edwards is still in there. Steph Curry out. So I got one dog in the fight, but
Okay.
I'm chilling. So, but it keeps my mind busy. And so just making sure I do what I have to do privately so that I can still operate publicly and be productive, but not weighing myself down though, at the same time.
Gotcha.
You stole my.
I knew you were about to ask him about self-care.
I was going to ask what you do for self-care, but how do you encourage that in your students?
Self-care?
Yes.
That what's the words that they use? That they twin, that they homies is not priority. You know what I'm saying? I think our youth lose sight of the idea of family, and they lean on their friends for family.
Yeah, they do.
And that becomes their their number one, but they can't really get you nowhere if they still go through the same thing too. So being mindful that they have to be mindful of themselves first. That's kind of where that conversation starts most of the time, is their peers, and then making sure that they're right. Making sure that they take time to look at situations, making sure that they sit, making sure that if they need to get away, that I provide those spaces for them. That's most of the time that it shows up. I have to model it more than I can speak it, because you're kind of going against their belief system once you tell them to step away from their peers so often, right? And you don't want to be another parent. You're just trying to give them some guidance. So most of the times I have to just scoop them and then like put them in a different environment, and they'll be like, I needed that, T. They're like, it's all good. If you need it again, let me know. So sometimes just paying attention to their interest, pulling them away, putting them in that situation for a minute, spending a couple hours with them, talking to them, are you good, checking in, and then letting them know, like, this is what you have to do. So it's modeled more than it's spoken on. But that's a fine line today. Like, we can talk about self-care, but then you start talking about what people have access to, and that can become an issue, because self-care that they would like to do is not always aligned with the finances. And, we go deep in our pocket for our kids, but we can't always. So when you have those spaces and opportunities and moments, like whenever I got the crib to myself, grab a kid, come chill for a minute, I'm gonna get out of here. The crib is yours for a minute. You know what I mean? So just kind of modeling those spaces and creating them more than trying to tell them how to do it, but also showing them.
So specifically in Sacramento,
Yeah.
you notice like a theme when it comes to Black youth's mental health and kind of what they're going through and how they're treating it? And is there a way, how do you like encourage them to recognize their mental health struggles?
Yeah. So there's a theme. It's isolation, it's drugs, right? It's surrounding themselves with their peers, and it's tuning out the ones that care about them. And that's not always received in that way, because again, it feels like you're smothering them. But then when you give them the platform to speak, you see that they're dealing with, some abuse at the crib. They're feeling unseen, unheard. They're feeling overlooked. They're stressed out. And so I do notice that pattern. It's actually very prominent for a lot of kids, and it starts very early. And you asked, how do
you kind of get them to recognize what they're going through? Because a lot of people just push it to the back of their minds.
So I just ask questions. I think that's how I lead it, because I don't ever want to try to sound like I'm diagnosing nobody. You know what I mean? Tell them like, oh yeah, bro, you got some trauma. Like, it's like, the school counselor do that, and most school counselors won't, but still, like, so what you think about that, bro? Like, how you feeling? I feel this way. Well, why? Where'd that come from? Right? Or, oh, it came from this. Okay, so is this a regular thing? No. Oh, when did it start? Well, it started. Then I guess it started with, and that's how a lot of conversations go, kind of just guiding them and saying, okay, so moving forward, when you feel yourself getting tight or you feel yourself like getting angry so often, we have to stop for a second. So trying to teach them how to breathe. Like, sometimes as a black man, all we need is a moment to just breathe. Like, in that breathing, that creates opportunity for you to reflect. It creates opportunity sometimes to even just break and cry. Like, I can't tell you how many of my boys cried this year just from that moment of just breathing. And that's a medal for me. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't do that. We're not taught that. So I think guiding them backwards. I ain't no therapist or nothing, right? But I know what's helped me, and it helps them, right? So I'm a hood therapist.
Right, but it doesn't always have to be a
Nah,
therapist.
it don't.
Right?
I'm just teasing. Yeah, for sure.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
there's a connotation to that in the Black community.
Absolutely.
Sometimes
Absolutely.
when we start to think about therapy and we start to think about medications to help us regulate, there is
Yes.
a stigma to that.
There is.
So I don't always think that that's the right way to go. Sometimes you need somebody who you can see yourself in, that you know
Yeah.
gives a damn,
Yeah.
and
that's
they're willing
facts.
to open up to you because they know you're not coming from that particular lens.
That's a whole conversation. We have to do a part 2 and 3.
Okay.
You touched a couple things, but yeah, bro, just asking the right questions, right, and seeing things from their lens, not ever guiding them from what I went through. Sometimes using what I went through to show them that I've been there, but not the same as you because your situation different. But to know, like, I'm not just some cornball talking to you from the street, right? I also had this happen, and this happened to me too. And so they'd be like, "Wait, for real?" Right? But really just guiding them back to questions to help them recognize where it started. Where are those moments where it continues? Where do you find yourself getting, puffed up at? Where do you find yourself feeling most vulnerable at? And then just make a note of that. Okay, so you start doing this. That's probably where you need to call me, bro.
Right.
That's probably where you need to ask mom, can I step out, or can I pick up the phone? And then I transfer the information to the parents. Okay, so you see him doing this, you might just want to take a step back, let him breathe for a moment, because sometimes parents care, but they do it in a smothering way, right? And that makes a kid in reverse shut down, right? So very practically, you know what I mean? It's never any like steps to it. I just kind of let the conversation happen, but then point those things out. Like, all right, so you see that right there. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, okay, yeah. So that probably happened. That's why you come to school high, because she died when she dropped you out from school, right? Yeah, because like when I leave here, I don't do it. Okay, so we got some triggers, all right? So let's recognize these and then pass that on to the counselor, pass that on to the parent. And so this is where it's coming from. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you think social media is playing a part of the youth mental health?
My face can speak. Hell yeah. It absolutely is, bro. Like, again, there's an agenda. Like, we could use it for great things. I think BYLP uses social media in a dope way. I be seeing that all the time. But you have to
Shout out to Layla.
Shout out to Layla.
That's Layla.
Hey, what's up, Layla? But there's an agenda, bro. There's an agenda, and social media is a tool.
Yep.
And nobody's teaching them how to use it before they get to it, and then we give them access by giving them tablets so young, and then they got Instagrams at 10, and we wondering why they twerking at 13 online and going viral. So, with that being said, it plays a huge part because it influences their thinking. It doesn't allow them to think for themselves. They're being told everything. Everything's being fed to them. They're not reading. They're not picking up anything. They're not listening to anybody. And then the moment they step away from social media, they're zombies when they're in reality, and then they go back, and that's when they're most live. So
how do you go about like mentoring with everything going on social media and the negative?
Honestly, bro, I have a family. I have a rule. Whenever I'm with my kids, my mentees and stuff, no phones. While we in the car, sometimes I allow it, right? Or if we out, I'm like, put your phone away, bro. It's family time. Especially if we out to eat. That's family time. Like, put your phone away. If we all playing like iPhone games together, I'm big on still. They phone is they lifesaver. So you got to meet them where they at. So like we connect. I connect with like over like 100 kids just on the iMessage games. Like that's how we connect. But when we in person, it's time to lock in. You know what I mean? Like let's embrace this time that we have in real time. You know, because I don't have with you for long, and I don't know what environment you're going back to. Right.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, Monday it might be different on Tuesday. Right. So making sure that we capitalize on that. Like, why you wasn't your phone, bro? Like, give me your phone, bro. Take your phone. But like, don't treat it like school. It's like put your phone down because then you'll lose them. But just kind of villainizing without villainizing the usage of a phone. Like, but they're open to it because they know that they're not putting it down for nothing. You have to give them something if you gonna take something away. So making sure that you give them some time, some quality, some love, some attention, good conversation. Like I had my daughter and one of my mentees out at Chili's 2 weeks ago, and we put phones away, and I started asking them questions I had saw on like daddy daughter dates on Google because they're young women, right? And so
Girls.
yeah, they're girls.
Yeah, we don't want to adultify.
Okay, I got you for sure.
Yeah.
Some people hate being called. Well, I got you.
They girls.
For sure. So our girls, let me know. I'm cool with that. So the conversation was so good. We left. They're like, we appreciate that. We don't really get that like that. And I'm like, it's good. That's my job, is to make sure whenever I have a moment with our young people, right, our kids, our boys and girls, whenever we have those moments with our young people, that we're capitalized on it. So don't take stuff from them if you ain't got nothing to offer them. I don't believe that, bro. Like, hey, give me that burger. It better be a bomb salad behind me. You gonna take my burger? I'm still gonna be hungry, bro. So what you got for me? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's just it right there. Just making sure you capitalize on the time that you have, not misusing it, not becoming too controlling of an environment, but at the same time show them that there's more. And I think that's why I take a lot of them out to do stuff. So it's like, hey, you don't have to be at the house on the phone. Like, there's a basketball game. And when I take them, we're not sitting at the top in the bleachers. Like, I'm about to find some low seats so you can enjoy the experience. You know what I mean? Let's go skating. Because if you're on your phone while you're skating, you might crash. So put that down. Let's go to the arcade so you engage and active. Let's find a movie that's gonna be good. So you have to fill those spaces in. And that's how you kind of combat it without combating it directly.
And we have about 2 minutes left. Do you have a question, Foxy, that you want to get in?
I wonder, sometimes in these organizations, when we help people, it's people that we can't help.
Yeah.
It's one of the what is one of the tools you utilize for the children that we can't help, but you have to sit them down gently because you want to keep the door open for somebody else to be able to help them.
Ooh,
That's
the
a good
tool I
one.
utilize is grace.
Yeah.
And I believe the intangible tools are more powerful than the tools that we have at our hands. And I say grace because it's easy for them to feel like you don't care because they're not acting the way you want them to act or being how you want them to be. And one kid is coming to mind as you say that. And if the world was watching, they would know who I'm talking about. But it don't seem like you can help bro at all. But then he has moments where like he'll show glimpses that something is there. I just might not be the person to do it. You know what I mean? So always being humble enough to know when you can't get in the ring with that person. I can't fight for your life, but I know somebody around the corner that maybe can. And if not, I'm here for whenever you're here. Like whenever you need me, I'm here. You might not be one of the kids I deal with on a regular basis, but if you ever need me, I'm here. You know what I mean? But I can't get with you in that way. But I think there's grace there because some people just write people off. Like, we don't help that kid. And there's moments where I've been like that. Like the same kid I'm talking about, I was like, I'm through it, bro. But there was a moment where it's like, I went to the juvenile hall and I ended up seeing him there. And he seen me there because I did a Christmas party with my church and he enjoyed it. And I was like, dang, you might got something in you, bro. So, but when I look at his home life and found out his mom's is crazy and dad, it's like, okay, you got to understand he a kid. So he don't know how to operate maturely. Right. So I had to set myself back and be like, you know what? Like, you may not want to interact with bro on a regular basis and might not be able to because he won't allow you in. But if he ever does need you, be who you are to everybody else.
That's dope. And I think we're going to drop that mic right there.
Okay.
Because we have run out of time. We want to make sure that you and your kids know, the Gifted Misfits, that we are having Celebration Weekend coming up June 21st through the 23rd. It's a celebration of Black excellence, the class of 2024. We are honoring promoters as well as graduates. So if you have some kids that are promoting or graduating, let them know that we are having this is specifically.
This the
for
fancy
him.
event y'all had last year.
Yeah.
I seen that. I was like, oh, okay. It's like that, huh?
Well, you invited, so
I'm
don't.
teasing you. I got you. I'm teasing. I did like it though. Okay.
Well, yes, come on back. So with that, we will see y'all. Well, we're trying to get it changed to Tuesday, because Monday is a holiday, Memorial Day. But we hope to be back before you Tuesday, the 28th, God willing. With that, we're gonna hit you with the peace sign. Get up out of here because it's time to go.
Peace.
Peace.